Everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome to the PowerWoman Conference 2024. We're going to wait a few minutes for people to join in. Thank you for joining in. Welcome. Welcome again to the PowerWoman Conference 2024. Welcome Beyond Borders, Women Shaping a Global Vision. I'm super excited to be in today's conference. Looking forward to amazing speakers. Looking forward to an amazing time with our speakers today. So before we proceed and go live, we'd just like to say a little bit of what we do at the Power Woman Network. So, what is the PowerWoman Network? The PowerWoman Network is a network of female business leaders and professionals, but with a shared vision of enhancing the growth of women in the corporate, political, and business leadership scene. We offer leadership development, we offer mentorship, economic advancement, empowerment for women through job creation, skills acceleration, capacity building, advocacy programs, strategic networking, and etc. We believe at the PowerWoman Network that every woman is an arsenal of untapped power, strength, and resources. Therefore, through the PowerWoman Network, we help ambitious women unleash their inner strengths and help them with the resources required to acquire global opportunities. Our vision is to enhance the growth of women in corporate, political, and business leadership scene. Our core values are leadership, respect, excellence, collaboration, and growth. For more about what we do, who we are, and to join the Power Woman Network, you can visit our website at www.thepowerwomannetwork.com. So we have our speakers right here, and we would have them join us very soon while we wait everyone to join in. Welcome once again. For more information about us, you can click on the link showing in our screen. That is www.thepowerwomannetwork.com. We're looking forward to having you join us and be a part of the community. Thank you. So for our speakers today, we have Dr. Osasui Derisu, and we have Mrs. Kausara. And I'm super excited about each of their session, and I'm looking forward to an amazing time with them today. Okay, so without further ado, I would be bringing up our first speaker for today, Dr. Osasui Derisu. She'll be joining us in a few minutes. Okay. Hi, Dr. Osasui.
Hi, good morning. Oh, good afternoon. Afternoon already.
Wow. It's so good to see you again, and I'm looking forward to your
Yeah, can you hear
session.
me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay, all right. Okay, without further ado, I will be bringing up our first speaker, but before then, I would just like to read a bio in few minutes. Dr. Sasu Idurisu is the Executive Director of the Policy Innovation Center and Senior Fellow, Nigerian Economic Summit Group, where she oversees behavioral and policy intervention in health, governance, gender, and social inclusion in Nigeria. She was formerly research director at the Population Council, and in that role, she led research and interventions in maternal, newborn, and child health, family planning, female genital mutilations, HIV, and gender-based violence. She led the development of Nigeria Gender-Based Violence Dashboard, report gbv.ng, an innovative data visualization platform for the collation of validated real-time gender-based violence data in Nigeria. In 2022, she pioneered the Gender and Development Certificate course and led the convening of the first National Gender and Inclusion Summit, which is now being institutionalized as an annual event. She holds an MBS degree from the University of Ibadan, an MPH from the University of Lagos, and an MBA from the Pan-Atlantic University, and a PhD from the University of Leeds. She's also an alumnus of Harvard Kennedy School and Blavatnik School of Government, University of Oxford. Dr. Sasu is a widely sought after speaker and listed as one of the top 100 career women in Africa. Without much ado, let's welcome Dr. Osasi for our session today.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome. And I will just start once my screen is shared. But thank you so much. I always love to speak about, you know, connecting women, especially to opportunities. And I'm excited about the opportunity to do this. Just to confirm that you can hear me.
Yes, I can. I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, loud and clear. I can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, great. Okay, great. So I'll just go on. So I've been told to speak about building global networks and leveraging connections for career development. And I will just start. So building career networks. So that tells us that we need to have some synopsis generally about what networking is about. So, contrary to what we sometimes think that networking is something that we do like informally, you speak to someone here and there. Networking is actually a systematic and deliberate process of building, but not just building relationships and also maintaining them, and ensuring that the relationships you're building and maintaining are actually mutually beneficial. So what we do when we network is that we use personal relationships people have and we have with others to increase our exposure to information and opportunity. So those are two important things in networking. We're trying to increase information and then we're also trying to increase the opportunity available to us. So when we think about your network, it will serve a lot of functions, and I'll try to give some examples as I speak. So first of all, helps you to skillfully identify and complete your professional duties. So whether you're trying to get someone to speak at your event or you're trying to support your colleagues or travel or build relationships or get to do your work better, you would always need to have networks, and networks give you that opportunity to do that. So also to strategically advance your career. I'm sure we've all heard about the fact that when you start off, your first job may be the one you get from writing the aptitude test and impressing your panel, in the interview. But a lot more jobs that you get down the line and along your career will just be really a conversation, and so a referral and a conversation that just comes from someone who recommends you and knows that this is something you can and do. And then finally, when you network, you kind of are able to bring together a collection of supportive people who can speak, leverage their influence to get things done for others. Now I'm told to specifically talk about global networks. So when you're thinking about global networks, you're now looking at creating access to a wide range of opportunities and perspectives across the globe. Social media and the internet makes it easy for us to achieve do a lot of things that have a global reach. Now you're building support system. You're not just looking within your own sector, you're looking at across different industries and across different cultures, and then enhancing your reputation. Is impossible to build a global network without enhancing your reputation and visibility on the global stage. Of course, it's a step-by-step process, so it doesn't mean that you have to completely arrive overnight. um, why are global networks important? First of all, because you can grow your career internationally. And there are many people who live in Nigeria and work across the globe. I remember a friend some years ago who was working for a Canadian firm, from his room in Lagos. So you can grow, and then he would have meetings, with new partners. A lot of those partners, he would have worked with them for 1, 2, 3, 4 years before he eventually meets them in person. And then you have access to international job opportunities. So the world is so interconnected now that it doesn't just start and stop at what you're doing in your room, right? Or getting a job in Lagos or moving from Lagos to Abuja. You can actually get an offer across the globe to do a wide range of things. And then the job market is gradually evolving from just something that relates to your qualifications to actually the skills and the value you bring into the room, and then also to share knowledge, to collaborate. I mean, I've worked in my life on many opportunities where all the collaborators are coming from different parts of the world, and everyone is coming together to achieve a common goal. But it's not just enough to have a network. Your network should be as also diverse as possible. And the reason why is because if you, depending on what you do, so for example, my work cuts across a number of sectors. So I need to have people in health, people in policy, public policy, governance, um, education, behavioral science. So because I do something that is cross-cutting and multi-sectoral, then my network, I'm a medical doctor by training, although I don't practice medicine, but and after medicine, I did public health. So typically people would expect that, oh, maybe your network would be in medicine, public health, but completely far from it. I haven't done any serious public health work in the last 2, 3 years. But if I limited myself, for example, only to my health network, then how am I going to expand my career connections to do a wide range of other things that I need to do? So we begin to look at how do I begin to build a global network. I will speak a bit more to social media platforms later, but one is leveraging social media platforms. It actually doesn't start from leveraging social media platforms. It starts by building a personal brand. So you build a personal brand, because it's a conversation that I'm happy to have over and over again. So sometimes people focus on building their profile online. So I'm a this, I'm a that. You put a lot of pictures, you put a lot of events you've attended. That's good. But the first thing is to build a personal brand. So what are the things that would define me as a person? What do I want to be known for? When people reflect on my name and they go out to check me out, what do I want them to see? And then I build that personal brand, and that brand has to be driven by excellence and integrity. So this is what I stand for. So if you stand for, arts or design or, accounting, whatever you stand for, you build your brand, and then you begin to build thought leadership around your brand. And then on that basis, you begin to leverage social media. So if you go into social media empty, you may get your foot in the door, But just as you get your foot in the door, you may be asked to leave when people now discover that, oh, I thought you could do this, I thought you could do that, but in reality, you can't. And we will talk a bit more about, how to leverage different platforms in a bit. But also, you have to engage with thought leaders. So who are the people who are thought leaders in my area? In 2020, when I was going to make a major shift in my career, I felt I needed someone, a thought leader in the new space that I was going to. And to be frank, I didn't even when I found the person online, I didn't know him personally. I kept just sounding out if a couple of colleagues, which is what networking also helps you to do. And then eventually I got a friend who had worked with him, and then she connected me to him. He lives in the US, he works in the US. We have never met in person, but he's mentored me for the past 4 years and also really supported me to um, get my foot into some other doors I wanted to. So engaging with thought leaders is important. Respectfully engaging with thought leaders within the country, outside the globe. Once people know that you're a person of integrity, they'll connect you and bring you into wider conversations. Participate in discussions. I used to be someone who, because I have a research, I've had a research career in the past decade, and so my life has always been behind the desk, writing papers, writing reports, writing research briefs. So at some point in my life, I was very reluctant to get up and go and have discussions. So I used to just sit in my office and do all the good work until I went for a meeting. And then, someone said to me, oh, I didn't hear you speak in this meeting. And then he said, you have to. And I was like, oh, I didn't have anything to say. And he said, it's not like that. People will not know who you are, what you can do. You have to find an opportunity to ask a question, engage, share valuable information. And that was one of the things that got me thinking about, okay, I can't continue to stay behind my desk. I need to go out there. So go out there, participate in discussions, put up your hand, share an opinion you have, attend international conferences and workshops. Start by attending virtual ones. Attend the ones that are happening in Abuja, attend the ones that are happening in Lagos. So because one thing would always build into another. And then begin to think about practical ways of gaining exposure. I mean, pharmacists, which pharmacist associations are there? Now we all have old girls and old boys associations. Sometimes people don't want to join because they don't know the benefit, but your colleagues are working all over the globe. And it can also be a good way to begin to connect you with opportunities within and across your field. So join a professional organization. Like I said at the beginning, networking is something that is systematic. It's not happenstance. So you may need to kind of pick up a biro and say, okay, what are all the professional associations that are possible to me based on what I do? And which ones can I join? Can I make a goal to join one or two over the next 24 months or 24 or 12 months? Make a note of those you want to join. You have a master's, you have a BSc, join your alumni associations, and then begin to think about other networks you can join. Then participate in events. 2 years ago, when we hosted the Gender Summit, we had quite a few people who volunteered, just volunteering. Somebody volunteered. At that point, we were just starting. I didn't think we wanted to spend a lot of money paying for an MC, but this was someone I thought could do a good job. And I reached out to her and said, can you just come and compare this event for us? And then she agreed. And right there, after the summit, she got another opportunity to go do something else. So even though she was volunteering here, that gave her the visibility she needed to do something else. So participate in events, take up leadership roles, put up your hand and say, I would like to be the secretary for this. I would like to help you anchor social media. Then begin to collaborate on projects. And just a word here, when you start collaborating, it's not all the time that you will get the financial benefits of doing that. So sometimes you may have to actually do that free, but you are expanding your network and giving people an opportunity to see, know you, and get, they volunteer for cross-border assignments or collaborations. And then also engage with international teams and stakeholders. My first job when I moved to Abuja in 2016, following my PhD, was a volunteer role. And it didn't make sense at all, with all the experience I had to be volunteering. But within 3 months of doing that, I had worked with teams across Africa, across the US, in UK, and I was still just volunteering. But those networks, have helped me to build a lot of experience that I've gone on to use in the last few years. Now, when you begin to build a network, I think one of the things that people are not now able to do is, how do I leverage this network I've built? So, yes, I have a network of people that I know now. I know what they can do. I know what I can do. I know I position myself. What next? So, you need to begin to stay informed of global trends. And what that helps you to do is, when you're speaking to people, so we are in a rapidly evolving ecosystem. One of the things that I found out in my career is, just by getting to know what is happening. So I'm sitting here, I'm reflecting on what people are doing, and then I'm in a meeting, and then I say, oh, just last week, so even just being able to read wide, reflect wide, and just build thought leadership, and keep yourself current. You're in a meeting and somebody says, oh, and that happens to me every time. And it's not really because one is a genius, it's just that a day or two before, you kind of just picked up, just trying to find out what's happening in your sector, and then you stay informed of those trends. And then when you're speaking to people and they're asking, oh, do you know anything about this? Yes, you're able to speak intelligently about that, and then that expands your opportunity to get better, your foot through the door. Then enhance your personal brand. So you've built it at the beginning, but you continue to do a lot, professional development, you know reflecting on how what you need to learn. Even it even goes into even how to dress, and how to begin to build your reputation as a thought leader within your field. There are some challenges to consider in building a global network, but it's not anything to limit you in doing that, but it's just something to be aware of. So one, for example, is cultural differences. So you're going to interact with people from different cultures. Just a few things to learn. Be yourself, right? But just know that, okay, I need to be cognizant of the fact that, okay, I need to understand better how to relate with people. How do I send emails to people in other time zone? How do I engage with people who speak a different language? What are some global etiquettes I need to take advantage of in interacting with people? Sometimes learning some words or phrases that helps you to warm yourself up when you get into a new conversation, and then learning to be flexible. Sometimes you're working with global teams, you have to sleep during the day and be up during at night, and then finding ways to connect with technology. But the most important thing I like to point out is building trust and credibility. When you take time to build trust and ensure that people understand who you are, where you're coming from, and the fact that you can be trusted, then you don't have any problem, in being able to just keep the credibility that brings you into the door. In 2021, this is a story I've shared in the past. No, 2020, I was working on a project that a team that our headquarters felt should be handled by a foreign team. And I wasn't prepared to let go, because I thought it was an opportunity for us as a local team to build our capacity, do something, that showcases value. And there were many things happening on that project that made it almost impossible to do this properly. We didn't have all the tools we wanted, but I kind of said to my team that this is our chance to build credibility. This is our chance to show that we can do good work as locals in Nigeria. And this is our chance also to do it in a way that if anybody comes to audit our work to the last kobo, everything is intact. And despite the criticism and pushback we had, we did this locally. And after that, we had 2 years ago, I sat in a conference where, not knowing I was in the room, they were talking about this project, and they referred to it as one of the most innovative. This was a global project with so many countries participating, and they listed our project in Nigeria as one of the most innovative in its category globally. So one of the things that does for you is any other time somebody is looking for a local partner, they won't start saying things like, oh, maybe Nigerians are not trustworthy or the other, because they've had an opportunity to interact with the quality of work that you do. This is just me just reflecting on some things that building a global a network can do for you. First of all, you're thinking of getting a new job for those who are in employment, or you're thinking of a collaboration. So sometimes you find yourself in a project where you need one or two foreign partners. If you don't have a network that you have built outside the country, then it's almost impossible for you to get a partner to work with. And then also mentorship. I've given an example of some of my mentors who are not Nigerians, not in Nigeria, and I have never met them before. So what next? What do you do after having a conversation like this? I think the first thing is to go back internally and say, what should my networking goals look like? So how do I define what I want to achieve through global networking? Like, what do I want to achieve, and how do I start from where I am? Many times when we have these conversations, people will be like, oh, I've never traveled out of Nigeria before, I don't know anybody outside the globe. The fact you could, I mean, even just having a LinkedIn profile and beginning to engage in groups could be a good way to start. So where am I now? Where do I want to be in the next 2 years is a good goal. So in 2 years, in 5 years, and then articulate your what you want to achieve. Then the next thing is where. Outline the places, the regions, where do you want to be, what country, what industries. I've given an example of my own. I'm working across quite a number of sectors. So when I look at partnerships, I look at my area across those sectors. What region? So, for example, using myself as an example, I have a short-term goal to build some specific networks within Africa over the next year. So you go online, what are the organizations or networks, that do the same thing I do in Africa, and then begin to focus the ones that are relevant to your career, and then within your existing network, begin to reach out. So we have a gender summit coming up in a couple of weeks, and one of the things we wanted to do in this gender summit was make the summit have an African reach. So I started with speaking to a friend in Kenya, speaking to another. So you start by speaking to people that you already know, and you get these people from, you know, ensuring that you're keeping tabs on your networks. Okay, do I know someone in Ghana? Do I know someone in South Africa? Do I know someone in Ethiopia? And then you speak to them, you reach out to them. This is what we're doing. And the initial reaction will be, oh, no, we don't think we can. Oh, then somebody calls you back and says, oh, coming to think about it, we think this would be an opportunity to come to Nigeria and do this. Okay, how do we collaborate? Why don't you come over to this? Why don't you know? And then the conversations begin to evolve. And then also, as these conversations evolve, you will meet new people, and then you will have an opportunity to even expand your network further. So you have to be proactive. So you go into a meeting, and then you're proactive in engaging new networks. Now, I want to put a caveat here. Sometimes people do not think strategically about how to engage. So you jump into a new connection without any potential opportunity for value exchange. And some of those things actually can be a put off. So you always have to leverage from where you are to think through where you want to be. I'll skip this. So also just thinking about the network I talked about, you ask yourself, is my network as it is up to the challenge of building a global network? And if it's not, you begin to think about what you can do over the next 1 year, what you can do over the next couple of years, and what you need to do within your network to ensure that you can achieve your goal. It's also important to be prepared. So many times we create platforms, give people opportunities to network, they don't come prepared, they haven't practiced what to say, they haven't thought about what area they're focusing their capacities on, they can't summarize effectively what they do. So if you want to ensure that when the opportunities come, you can take advantage of it, ensure that you keep asking yourself, what do I need to do to prepare for those potential opportunities when they arise? There's some myths about networking I want to quickly dispel. So sometimes people feel that, oh, networking involves talking to as many people as possible at a large public event. And that's actually counterproductive because you may end up not focusing any contact from that event. But the one-on-ones, the emails, the conversations, dropping a comment on LinkedIn, an intelligent comment on LinkedIn, in informal social settings, all those conversations are important in just helping you think through the reach of your network. Then sometimes people think that networking is done purely for instrumental reasons. Oh, it means using people for your own advantage. No, I define networking at the beginning as something that has to be mutually beneficial. So networking must be based on neutrality. So this mentor I talked about that I started working with in 2020, he's a professor, right? He has two PhDs and he's really top range, right? And so you think, what sort of value can he get from me? Oh, in the last few years, I have made sure also that I have created opportunities for him to see value in me and also reach out to me. I've had the opportunity to help one of my mentors to examine his PhD students because he finds me, valuable to do that. I'm in Africa. Some of his PhD students are abroad, Africans, So you always have to think about what sort of benefit can this other person on the other side get from me. Or you need to be an extrovert to network. Like I said, I'm a researcher, by training, first of all, and a lot of my work was behind the desk. So even now that I am going out and I have to speak to people and all that, it's been a lot of learning, looking in the mirror, practicing what I'll say, practicing my presentations, or practicing my pitch, my 3 minute speech to get funding, or 2 minute speech. So you don't have to be an extrovert to network. And there are many ways. There are many ways. I may not be able to go into that because of time, but there are many ways to leverage your personality to network. There's so many approaches, and it's finding what works for you. Sometimes even being an extrovert may be counterproductive. And finally, networking is exclusionary. So that thinking that, oh, if you don't belong or you are not in the clique or you're not in here, it will be difficult for you to network. Like I said, when you bring value to the table, you can use the value as the opportunity to pitch everywhere you go. Okay, so it's just as I begin to round up, just some reflections for us. Networking is critical. I mean, I did a networking assessment some years ago. This was while I was still doing my PhD, and no, I had even finished. But it was interesting that they asked for all the different types of people you had in your network, and it was only academics who can be very boring. 80 or 90% of the people in my network were academics. And so I scored very low. So you have to think about the fact that in building your network, there's diversity that is needed across sectors, different types of people, communications, media, technical. So it's not just, so you need to understand that research has shown that if you have this sort of very robust network, you have more access to information, have more access to resources. Many problems you're trying to solve are just a phone call away. You have access to the sort of emotional, social support that you need to help yourself. You're perceived as more powerful. So if somebody knows that if I call Osasui today, I may be able to get information about A, B, C, D, E, then they will think that I'm powerful. Then you're also better able to influence others because when you're speaking to people many times, they are thinking of, okay, if I leverage Osasui to do this, Osasui can also leverage me to do this. So I would like to be, in her network. And you're better able to get your ideas implemented. Every single thing that we do, we cannot do if we don't have networks, and also to get opportunities. Now, in thinking about networks, please don't be short term. Think long term. So don't think about, oh, this guy, once he gives me this thing, I get out. So think long term, build relationships that would last for the long term, be pragmatic in looking at what other people may need, and also ensure that you're reciprocating networks. So this is just an example of the sort of diversity that you think about in networking. So you're thinking about what your family brings to you, I'm sure you've heard this connector, sponsor, mentor thing. I won't have time to go into that. You're thinking about, your peers, your classmates, your friends, even existing friends, can be a real value to you. And then you're thinking about also people within your organization. So, a few questions for you. What happens if I Google you today? What will I find? Sometimes we put footprints on the internet that we may not really want to be proud of. So it's now time to begin to think carefully about what you're posting online, because many times you go into a meeting and then you're sitting down and you're having a good conversation, and then somebody just types your name and then sees what is popping out. So some of those naughty comments that we put online never actually go away. So be careful what you post. What does your online behavior or your presence tell? People would always check you out. I was in a big meeting 2 weeks ago with a donor, and I mean, she's trying to decide whether to give us this grant or not. And then, boom, immediately after my presentation, I got a friend request from her on LinkedIn. She had checked me out, seen my profile, and wanted to connect. Why did she check me out? Like, let me connect with this person who we want to give so much resources to do and work. So, what about LinkedIn? For people thinking about building professional networks, that's where a lot of jobs. I mean, in the last 3 to 4 years, I have gotten a lot of offers, job offers I never applied for, and just from people searching me on LinkedIn and typing, "Oh, we'd like to connect with you because we want to offer you this role," and all that. So, building that good network on LinkedIn, ensuring you have access to experts and networks. Many organizations now headhunt, and they just go on LinkedIn and start looking for people who fit the competencies they are looking for. I know someone a couple of years ago who was going for a senior role, very experienced in his industry as an engineer. And then after the interview, they called him back to say, "You have no LinkedIn profile. We cannot give you this job." Because we expect that as a top leader in these organizations, people should check you out and know where you're coming from. We're giving you 48 hours to build a LinkedIn profile. Otherwise, we would have to we will not proceed with giving you this offer. Finally, reshape. Some of us may be thinking today about our existing networks and asking ourselves, what's the way forward? You may need to leave here today and begin to think about reshaping your network. And why is this important? There are some connections that you have been a bit superficial about. You may need to leave today and begin to think about deepening these networks. They could be your classmates, they could be your family friend, but someone who can do a lot more for helping you to build a global network that you have thought about. Then there may be a few new connections that you need to build. Have you joined your alumni association? Is there any professional network that you're part of? And then you may also think of letting go of some connections. There's some connections you have right now, they're draining, they take your time, then you're not really getting any real tangible benefit from being in those networks. They're just a whole drag. It may be time to let go so you can concentrate your energy more on building positive networks. So in closing, just reflect on what insights you've gained today, what you learned that you don't want to forget, what you see differently as a result of this conversation, and what gems you're taking away from this. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, you would need to go together. And thank you so much, Power Women Network, for the opportunity. And I hope that we have learned one or two things that we will take further after today. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Sasi. My note here is actually full. I think for me, majorly I could resonate with the part where you mentioned leveraging networks. I have a few questions, but I would keep them till our question and answer session. So please still stay with us. We have a question and answer session right after Palman Kausara's session. So thank you so much, Dr. Sasi. It was really a eye-opening and insightful session. I could relate more with the leveraging networks. And also, I think the last words you said actually strikes a chord where you said, Google yourself. So I have someone who tells me, just Google yourself randomly and see what comes up. And you'll be shocked and amazed at the digital footprints that you have on social media. So on the internet. So I actually resonate with the part where you have to intentionally build a personal brand online. Just randomly Google yourself and see the kind of footprints you have on internet. If you are willing to interact with yourself, then you need to intentionally work on the kind of presence that you have. Thank you so much for that insightful session. Without wasting more of a time, we have Palman Kausara coming up next. And right after that, we would have the question and answer segment. So if you have any questions, you can do well to drop them in the chat and we would attend to them right after the session. Thank you again, Dr. Sasi. See you in a few minutes. Welcome. Welcome. Welcome, PowerWoman Kausara. Thank you so much. Okay, we cannot hear you.
Oh, okay. So can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and
How
clear.
are you,
Loud
Honeylola?
and clear. I'm very
Thank
well.
you.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So without further ado, I will be introducing you and we'll be going right straight into your session. I'm super excited about the session and hoping to gain a lot from you. Okay. So Kausara Abu Karim, sorry, is an experienced people and culture transformation leader with a practice spanning 2 decades. Our expertise cuts across the HR value chain. Over the years, she has developed capabilities in people development, cultural and behavioral change, strategic decision making, organizational development, competencies, and performance management, to mention a few. A passion for human resources grew exponentially, and this fueled the countless opportunities to shape the careers of individuals and enhance the overall functioning of organization. An unyielding passion for empowering individuals to realize their full potential. She is the current HR lead for a multinational company, Mantrack Nigeria, a sole capital dealership in Nigeria that distributes every equipment. She's the lead coach and consultant for Nest Coaching and Learning Academy, a privately owned business that helps individuals with their gains through professional coaching, mentorship, continuous learning. She is also a faculty member with International Professional HR Certification Agency and Business School, running educational service in Nigeria. She's an alumnus of the University of Wales, UK, an MSc graduate of Organizational Behavior from the University of Lagos, a distinction graduate of Business Administration, a member of the HR Certification Institute, a full member of the Chartered Institute of Personal Management of Nigeria, a credentialed coach of the International Coaching Federation, and a member of the Learning and Development International. She is passionate about personal growth and development, determined to empower young individuals navigate the complexities of the professional world, an advocate for young adult transformation. The joy of witnessing the metamorphosis of this bright soul into confident, capable, and professionals became the driving force behind our result. Thank you so much, Paul Makansara, for
Thank
joining
you.
us today. Thank you
Thank you
so much. We're
so
looking
very
forward.
much. Thank you
Yes,
so
wow.
very
So,
much. I appreciate that. Thank
all
you for
right.
the
So,
honor. Thank you for the invitation.
yes,
Okay.
over
Thank
to
you,
you, ma'am.
everyone on the call. So I feel so delighted to be here this afternoon. I would like to say congratulations to us all for witnessing another Power Women conference, and Kemi Ogunkoya, congratulations for betting this initiative. I congratulate yourself and your crew, Oyilola Okpeyemi. Thank you for organizing this and putting this together. Before I start, I would like to say I feel honored and delighted to be sharing the virtual stage with Dr. Sasui Dirisu. That lecture was spot on. A lot of nuggets, a lot of insight, and a lot of topic and concept that you have used that align with what I'm going to be talking about today. Thank you for making my assignment here today very, very simple. Thank you so very much. So today we are going to be discussing about the role of women in shaping the policies and practices. So we are still going to be going into some few rudiments. We are limited by time, but I just believe we'll be able to do justice to this topic as we move on. Putting all this conversation in the right context, this is going to be the highlight of this discussion, introducing the topic, which I want to believe that the Power Women crew has done very well. So historical contribution of women, all our encounters, strategies for impact around the role of women in policies and practices, and then the call to action, where we are going to be spending the most part of the time that we have. Thank you once again, and I would love to start this conversation by a film that I recently watched, and that is Fumilayo Ransom Kuti, that was produced by Bolanle Austin Peters. We have seen a lot of text, we've seen a lot of books around this story. It's been long, it's been a while. We've done a lot of current affairs when it comes to Fumilayo Ransom Kuti, but this film really fully analyzed the role of women in shaping the policies and procedures, looking at the energy, looking at the confidence, looking at the power of empathy, looking at the power of collaboration, bringing women together to fight the issue of tax and rebate that is being unnecessary and ridiculously charged by the king and its people. A very beautiful film that shows us how powerful we are, and anytime we put our mind at something, we achieve it. It is not today that the struggle has begun. It's not today. And you will agree with me that when it comes to policy making, when it comes to practices or politics in general, this space is being dominated by men. While we as women struggle, we struggle to get a space to even get a little share of this pie. So today we are going to be going into this discussion. There are discussions we are familiar with. There are discussions that we know. We just have to continue the conversation to ensure that we have that voice that we are looking for. So I would like to put this conversation in the right context also by these two quotes. I love them a lot and I put them here. Hadassah said feminism is not about making women strong. We are not looking for strength. We already have that. We know we are strong. We already know we are strong. What are we looking for? We are looking to change the perspective of the world about women's strength. So how do the world perceive our strengths? And that is what we are talking about here. We are not in a battle. We are not fighting for seat. We are just making the world perceive us in the right way. And Michelle Obama said, when we talk about women empowerment, we are not just talking about women issues. We are talking about the human issues. And this is what tells us that the coin, it's two sides of a coin. We have two sides to a coin. And discussing the male gender without the female gender is as doing the service to the entire coin. And when we discuss the women, that is when we are complementing and also completing the coin that we'll talk about. Yes. So moving ahead, we why is this conversation important? Very, very important, because we need to educate ourselves. We need to inspire ourselves. And aside that, we need to equip ourselves. How do we educate ourselves? We need to provide a deeper understanding of why our involvement and participation in policy making is very, very critical. We need to educate ourselves first, because what we don't have, we can't give. And again, we need to inspire ourselves. We've mentioned so many, we've had so many beautiful success stories in terms of pioneer women and even recent contributors that have successfully shaped the policies and practices in this country and beyond. And we also need to equip ourselves, and which is where we are going to be spending most of the time today. How do we offer practical strategies so that we can help ourselves take that leadership position and be able to do what we need to do in our various workplaces, in our community, and beyond? So, why talking about why this conversation is important? You will agree with me that we have had a lot of people, not just today, a lot of contributors, the foremost contributor, the current contributors around these policies and procedures. Skipping Fumilayo Ransom Kuti, because I've just mentioned him, a woman rights activist from the Ogun State, the southern southwest of the country. We'll talk about Gambo Sawaba. Those are the foremost local contributions. Politicians and for women activists. We talk about Margaret Epo. I saw her younger picture. I was like, wow, these women we are seeing here today as old people has contributed into the landscape, to the development of this nation while they were in their 20s. Now we are in our early 40s, late 40s, late 30s. What have we contributed? We have a lot of women that are doing that. We need more, because we still have a very insignificant numbers or level or rate of women in policy making, politics, and practices. We have Queen Hamina, we have Madame Efuroye. When we remember that name, we remember slave trade warriors. And we have current contributions. If I put all of them here today, we won't be able to leave this slide. We have a lot of them. Is it from Folusho Folonsho Lakija? Is it from Ngozi Okojo-Iweala? And all our contribution into WTO, that is World Trade Organization, why she was the former finance minister? Or do we want to talk about Obi Osekusili? Do you want to talk about Chimamanda? I love her for her confidence, her assertiveness, and she's always very authentic and assertive in her speech. We have a lot of them. And we have Mohabudu. We all know Mohabudu. And we have a lot of the giants of entertainment world. We have the giants of sport world. A lot of them that is putting the best of their achievement into this conversation. And going to the global world, a lot of contributions. All these women are women when they start this, they fight and their struggle when they were 18, some 15, some 20. They have done a lot of things in their teens and in their youth to bring about the relevance of women in the society. Going about the story of these women, I was looking at a suffrage movement when I was researching about this, and I can imagine when we have some set of women fight for our right to vote. I can imagine the host of Elizabeth Candy, the host of Susan Anthony, fight for the women right to vote. That is a serious issue. You can imagine having men go out during election time, and we have the women sit at home to cook, to wash, and to take care of the children. If you have these women in their youthful age and they were able to fight this, then accolades for them. We have a lot of things they've done in terms of constitutional amendment so that it will be fruitful and favorable to women. We have the civil rights movement. We have a lot of notable contribution in terms of environmental movements, labor movements, women rights convention, the right that stops employment biases, and so many other contributions. And again, still on this global space, we have some current contributions, and we all know Malala. Malala is from Pakistan, and she was around 15 when she got this award. And what was she doing? She was fighting for the relevance of women. She was fighting for the education of girls. We have Kamala Harris, and we all know what is happening in American politics today. All our contributions. She is an Anthony and also a politician. We know the former president of First Lady of America, Michelle Obama, and all her contributions in her podcast, in her speeches, in her books, and everything she has done to ensure women are all empowered. We know my Angela Merkel of Germany, and we know all her contribution as well. Oprah Winfrey is known by all. They actually call her the tireless activist and a TV host. We have Christian Lagarde, the chairman of IMF. We have beautiful, strong, and intelligent women out there. We have Helen Saleh of Liberia, and we have Kim Campbell of Prime Minister of Canada. We have so many of them that have done well to this institution. If you want to go to the corporate world, also have some women that have done well globally, locally, that have done well. One of them that have also shown our contribution here is that the last speaker, she spoke so intelligently and she brought a lot of insight into the topic of networking. How do you network locally and globally? We have all these contributors. We want to talk about corporate leadership and culture. We have the Mary Berra of General Motors and what she has done to ensure that General Motors has an inclusive workplace. When we go to the technology industry, we have Sherry Sandberg that's the CEO of Facebook, going globally. She has done so much in ensuring that there's advocacy for women, and she's so aggressive about it in her speech, in her book, and in our organization. We have a lot of them in terms of environmental policy here locally and also internationally, ensuring there is gender parity. We know all this. We know them, we've read about them. As this stop the biases, as all this stops the challenges that we have, as this stop the setback, the conspicuous, the conscious and unconscious encounter of women? No, it hasn't. We have made a significant inroad into our various fields in terms of academics, in terms of healthcare, in terms of corporate environment or public offices. But the encounter remains. But we have to continue this struggle to ensure that will have the voice we're looking for. So we are going to be talking about all our encounters, some of which we are aware of, and some of which may also be new to us. There are so many of them, but I have to capture them into these 6 headings so that we can manage that the time that we have together today. We are aware of gender biases. That this is the basic. This is the most common biases that we have when it comes to encounters of women, either in the public office, either in the private sector, or even in a privately owned organization. Gender bias, either implicitly or explicitly, we have them. We know what is being done, how we have biases in our decision making, how women are being stereotyped. We have what we call tokenism, where we think they want to make us believe they are doing us favor, whereas they are not. They are not. And anytime they see us being empathetical, anytime they see our nature as being warm, they see us as being weak. These are all the encounters that we have as women. We have lack of representation, a lot of under marginalized group, a lot of underrepresented contribution in government and leadership position. This is happening almost every time. And our own culture, our own belief is also like a barrier, like a ceiling also to us. We know how we submit easily and comfortably to the women, to the male gender. Oh, allow him, is a man. Can we allow him do this because he's a man? No, he's a man. You can't do that. You allow the man to sit and allow the lady to support. Yeah, we have all that. Our patriarchal family structure also is not even helping matters. It's not helping matters. Sexual harassment, we have it everywhere in the workplace. I handled one recently in my place of work, and I could have imagined how this issue will have been handled if that head of HR is a man. Because we hear things like men are polygamous in nature, no, men can be forgiven, but women has to be scolded for, or to be scolded for anything that they do, the slightest thing that they do. We have a lot of things that they talk about single women, that we single men they have less value. I don't know how being single has to do with value. I don't know how gender has to do with value. I don't know how the status of a woman has to do with their contribution and insight into the achievement or success of any organization. Those are the cultural norms that is also eating us in the face day in, day out. We have the glass ceiling. It is always there. We have some multinationals that try as much as possible to have an inclusive policies and procedure that take this off, so that women have the opportunity to take any role that they apply for or they deserve to take. But we are still battling with all these sky high expectations. We still have a lot of disproportionate job losses, where you will say a lady has gone to two times maternity leave. Before you know it, when you are doing disengagement or they are doing churning in an organization, you just find the ladies or women way in that list. And we have a lot of barrier to our career development. That before you know it, she's gone on maternity leave. Before you know it, the baby has flu. Before you know it, this and this. We have all those glass ceiling. It's still happening. It will still continue to happen if you don't take charge of this conversation. And we have all the physiological makeup. It is what it is, women. It is what it is. Yes, these are biology issues. These are not, this is how we are. And you have to accept us for who we are. When we talk about menopause, it's still going to be unaccommodated. When we talk about menstruation, there is still stigma around that. When we talk about childbearing, they will be counting the numbers of children that you have, and they will tell you that you can't be productive. You can't be productive when you have so numbers of children. So let's take her out and let's bring a male folks in. There's still a lot of lack of support for women. I remember a case I also handled in one of my career life, when I had a manager, a male, sent a mail to HR saying that, please, I saw this mail from one of my staff, and I want to believe that this staff, a lady, she's just lazing around and she's laid back. So if you, what has the staff sent? What was in the mail? The staff that is, I think she was late 80s or early 50s, sent a mail to the manager that, please, I'm having some menopausal issue. That was what she wrote in the mail. I was so happy that I was part of that conversation when it ended. I was so happy. So the lady wrote a mail to the manager saying I had some menopausal issue and hormonal imbalance that will make me very active in the day but very tired at night, and that is also affecting my time of waking up. Or yes, and then by extension, she will have to come late to work. She sent that to the manager, and the manager sent a mail to HR. Rather than him say, "Oh, HR, can you look into this? I don't know. Please engage her. Let's know how we can help." No, the manager sent a mail that no, I think this lady is being lazy around and she's laid back. I've been seeing her recently. She's not adding value and the rest. I don't mind taking her out. Just, just a mail. So you can now imagine if that mail has landed into a mailbox of an HR professional that is a man that is not even inclusive minded, but it's landed on my desk and I was so happy in my system and I sent a mail back. Well, how do I respond to this? I responded with data and we are still going to get there. How do you use your knowledge? How do you use your skill and your technical know-how, behavioral know-how to be able to push out this agenda and make sure women have seats at the table? I just went with the manager with data and I asked questions. Sorry, how many years has this lady spent in this organization? Over over 15 years. What again did I went with? I went with a performance appraiser for 5 years. I didn't go with 1 year. I did not go to the manager with 2 years. I went to the manager with 5 years appraisal. Coincidentally, this lady has been high performer in the last 5 years. I said, so where do employer comes in to help employee, to help women at this level? This person has been consistently performing for 5 years just because she sent a mail around her coming late. So where is flexible worker? Where is a parental care? Where is empathy? And that's where we come in. Because I'm very sure a male that is an HR person will say, I think you are right. How can she be bringing up something like this? This is our physiological makeup. It is what it is. It is what it is. I'm in my late 40s and I'm still having menstrual cramps. And if you tell somebody that I have menstrual cramp, I won't be able to come to work today. I'm not talking about people that make up excuses, flimsy excuses. No, I can tell my manager that I'm having cramps and I would like to work from home today. Sorry, I'll be joining the meeting late. Can we postpone the meeting by 2 hours? These are things that means we are inclusive in an organization. And childbearing, what do you have? I was part of the team that started a crèche in my organization. These are the conversation. This conversation doesn't come easily to men. It has to be women that will bring this inclusive conversation to the table. And when you are not in the table, you can't set the table right. And we have so many other challenges. Harassment, hate speeches, unconscious biases, and policy making. When we are not there, we can't make it happen. And now let's go into the real meat of the discussion. We've seen all the encounters. We've seen what the foremost contributors and the current contributors and the recent contributors has done in terms of this topic. And we've seen all our encounters. We've seen all our setbacks. What role do we need to play? This is very, very critical. This is very, very critical. And I put this because there are so many roles that we need to play, so many that I have to put them together to be able to bring up those ones that are very, very critical. When it comes to diversity, we had the one that is being marginalized. So when we had the table, we take more diverse perspective. When we are women leaders, we take more diverse perspective and we take inclusive policies. Aside that, we look at those marginalized group will look at them and ensure that they are also covered in the policy. We have a lot of corporate practices that is very, very wrong, that is against women development, that is against women emancipation. We have a lot of them. Who can drive this for us? We women. When we have women in leadership, we have them, they drive changes in workplace culture. They drive changes, they drive a more inclusive hiring practice. We have flexible work arrangement. A lot of times it's women that drive all these things so that we can have a better work-life balance and policies. Education, we are the one that knows what we want in our curriculum. We are the one that will champion gender equality. We are the one that want to see how are we going to resolve these gender stereotypes. We have to put all this in our curriculum. Who will champion that? We have a lot of role to play in all this. Is it about technological innovation? when we participate in tech innovation, we can bring a more inclusive design and software that can help us develop and empower women. We talk about economic impact. A more gender balanced economic policy will be brought to life with women involvement when it comes to gender gaps, employment gaps, pay gaps, and a lot of things we bring. When women are on the table, we are able to influence all this. Social policy, environmental concern. We are women, we are empathetic. We know we don't want anything to happen to the environment. We want a sustainable environment and a long-time environmental practice. And we are going to push this when we are on the table. A lot of things that women can do. Is it about conflict resolution? And you know the part we play in this. Is it about human rights? We know contributors. We know very energetic and active women that are doing justice in this space. Because when we are policymakers, we don't just get there. We push stronger human rights, protection, and particularly we look at vulnerable groups and address them. We are role models. As a mother, as a woman, as a lady, as a girl, we are all role model. And when we find our way into leadership position, when we find our way to be a policy maker, we ensure we serve as a role model. We inspire the younger generation and we do things right. In healthcare, I've already mentioned so many things around physiological issue. Who will be there to address the menopausal issue, the hormonal imbalance for us? Who is going to be there to talk about the menstrual cramps? Who is going to be there to talk about the parental care, the flexi work hour, the work-life balance? Who is going to talk about the childbearing issues? We need to be there. And then we have intersectionality, which is saying we have multiples, diverse of identity. So how do we bring all this identity together and ensure we are able to meet at the intersection to face and fight with all these challenges? We have a lot of things to play. There are a lot of them that I will put together here today. Work-life balance is our responsibility to bring the right organizational culture, inclusive culture, transformative culture is all our role because we have to be more inclusive, empathetic, and supportive in anything we are doing. Team management, coming to workplace. And I know today some of us must have faced all these issues, biases, conscious and unconscious biases in recruitment. I've had to be in interview, have been doing HR in the last 2 decades. And I know what I've faced with male gender in terms of we want to hire 2 candidates and you have 3 candidates. The first position is a man, the second position is a woman, and the third position is also a man. And we want to employ 2 people, there are 2 roles, and we have 3 successful candidates. And the manager will be telling you, sorry, pick the first and the third. If you are not on that desk, how do we make the second candidates be in that second position and be able to contribute and put a voice in the success of an organization? I said, what happened? Why are we moving? Why we have a first candidate, we have a second candidate, which is a woman, and we have a third candidate? Why bringing 1 and 3? Why not 1 and 2? Or why not 2 and 3? So why 1 and 3? Said no, now that I'm so biased, I just don't want issue with women. They will come and be talking about my son, my daughter, my husband, and the rest. I said, those are the issues that you men folks brought to our life. So you have to deal with it with us. Sorry, you have to deal with it with us. This is the result. I'm going to send this result to the MD. I will get approval and I will go ahead with the conversation. I will go ahead with the recruitment plan. We have a lot of issues in that regard. And women, when we are at the table, we build a blind resume screening. Why do I have to have a gender in my CV? A manager too will tell me, I want to know people who are coming, how many women and how many. I say, sorry, I don't know the agenda. I only shortlist them by skills. I only shortlist them by competencies. That's what I shortlisted them with. I don't know any gender. Oh, sorry, please confirm the gender. I said, no, I don't have any gender. When we meet at the interview, we see them and we interview them together. And that's a blind resume screening method. So how do we have a diverse interview panel and reduce all these biases? Why do you go to interview and have the whole of male there, no single female, and they are all making decisions that affect them? And that is why that pie will never be shared fairly. We have pay equity. Some organization will say, oh, no, we are not using that now. We still have some unconscious pay disparity that is not made known and conspicuous to us. A lot of that. And how do we get to know? Until we get to that leadership level. So we have everything to do to ensure we are on that table. to ensure you are in that room, to ensure you are part of the decision maker and the policy maker, to be able to change all this on these anti-inclusive policies. And sexual harassment, who will it happen to? We know that men are also being harassed. We know that, but we'll take the larger chunk of this harassment. I started also a project in my organization, which I also love to talk about here when it has to do with sexual harassment. Because by the time I have complaints, I have an open door policy. I allow people come to my, no matter how busy I am, is an open door policy. And I listen to everybody. I give the same attention to everybody from the highest in that organization to the cleaner in my organization, because I have a role to play as a woman at every point in time. And we have a lot of people that won't say anything. So I give them, I engage them, I play with them, I work with them, and I get information. And this led to my project that I did, formalize rather early this year. Then let's talk about the strategy for impact and the call to action for women. Having come from all the encounters, we've seen all the roles that we have to we have to play. So how do we play it? Women, how do we play it? Powerful ladies. We have a lot of things to do, and I'll be taking them one after the other. Strategy for impact. I will not be able to do what I have done in my organization, in my previous organization, and in my current circle of influence if I did not have developed my leadership skill. It is number one. You can't, there's nothing you want to do. You can't give what you don't have. And it will interest you to know that I work in a construction organization where I have over 95% male denominated. I find myself in board meetings where I happen to be the only lady in the room. I should be fidgeting. I'm looking for the right word. I should be intimidated. Yes, intimidation did not set in for one day. Now I had advocacy. I have them speaking for me, not because I make myself, oh, I'm going to be your friend. No, no, I don't do friendship. No, I love what Dr. Riso has said about network, and it was a good reminder for me. I wrote a lot of nuggets down today. It is about who you are and what are the value that you give to people. When they come to me and say, no, Kausara, this person is leaving my organization, my department today, I don't want him any longer. I say, oh, okay. Is there any problem? Is there something that we need to check before we let him go? What are the things that you've complained about? This and this is not performing. Any little thing that has to do with you sexually harass somebody, or you bully somebody and the person is not accepting from you. The fastest way to hide their iniquities is not perform non-performance. And then, so can we check that? What are the areas of performance? And I'm always ready with my data. Ladies, data is actually life. I don't go with emotions because they are using emotion to block us out. They are using emotion to bring up that biases every time. So I don't go to any one of them with emotions. I go with logic and I go with data. And data has been keeping me on top of my game because you are going to explain to me. You will explain tire like they used to say. So because you are going to tell me why this person has a performance issue, and consistently in her performance, she has been a top-notch performer and she has been recognized for 2 recognition awards. You have to explain. They don't remember all those things because we go with emotion. What has this person done? Oh, this is not fair. No, no, no. It's not about being fair. It's about putting that data on the table and then fight to let the data fight itself. Let the data fight itself. They run back. Now my MD will say, well, let's hear from her. When you don't put value on the table, nobody gives it to you. Nobody gives it to you. You have to have what it takes to be on that table. So you need training, we need mentorship, you need confidence building, you need to have self-advocacy. You need to see yourself and love yourself and like yourself and believe in your self-worth for you to be able to compete in that room and in that space. We talk about strong coalition and network. And that I will not ever emphasize because Dr. Doriso has said a lot about network today. And I tell people, network, they say is your net worth, but not alone. When they say network, who are in your network? People often say, who do you know? Sorry for me, who know you is what I say. Because all of us in this room, we know Obama. All of us in this room, we know Trump. We know Camilla. We know a lot of people. We know Babangida. We know a lot of people here. We know First Bank MD, Access Bank, everywhere. But do they know you? It is those people that know you that are in your network. Truly, don't let us deceive ourselves. You have to bring strong coalition. Dr. Dirisu says something that build coalition, build your network beyond your space. Bring it across Africa, beyond Africa. Do you know what it helps you to do? Like she said, it will help you build influence. It will help you be powerful in the room. It will make information and resources available to you. I love that part of our conversation. We have to leverage on our social capital. Who you know and who know you. It has to be two-way. Otherwise, you are just keeping numbers of people in your contact. They don't know you. So you have to collaborate with other women. You have to engage in advocacy, which is what Power Women Network stands for, which is why we are here today. And this is why Kemi brought this every year. Bring this every year for us to participate so that we'll continue this conversation and we go out there to unleash our potentials and strengths. Yes, doctor also talk about technology and social media. We are women. We love storytelling. We love storytelling. We have experiences. We are the one being harassed. We are the one being bullied. We are the one having a power disparity. We are the one facing all these things. What are we using our technology to do? To take pictures and post pictures? She also said something about what is your personal brand? Did they mean when you type your name, who did they see there? They only see pictures. Did they see all your contributions? Did they see what you have, your influence in the society, in your circle of influence? I'm not even talking about your involvement in politics. I'm not talking about your contribution in the community or in federal government or state government. In your circle of influence, in that little community you find yourself, in your alumni, how are you leveraging technology? We have to stand and wake up and show up for other women so that we can have that share of the pie. This is call to action where I'm going to be rounding up my conversation. We need that support and advocacy. We need that mentorship. Very, very necessary. We need to sponsor ourselves. We need to sponsor ourselves. We need to involve in active involvement and participation in decision making and policy making. We have to participate in public hearing. You can't just sit at home and say, I'm a woman, I'm fighting for. How are we fighting women? At every level, you fight for women and you fight for fairness. And that's why sometimes people will say, Counselor, you don't usually talk about women. I say, because when you fight for fairness, you find out that men and women will be involved. And that is why we are discussing not women issue, we are discussing human issue, as said by Michelle Obama. We need resources. We need resources. We need to. We need people resource. We need physical resource. We need capital. A lot of things that we need. We need to handhold ourselves. We need to celebrate women when they are doing well. We have a lot of them. Capacity building is also speaking to leadership skill. You need that mentorship. You need that coaching. I've had my mentorship program for a while now, and I love young adults. I catch them young. I listen to their mistakes. I handhold them so that they can get there and get to where I wasn't able to get to on time. I even move faster. My Dr. Dorisu's adage is my slogan, everyday slogan. And I tell people, because if you move alone, you only move fast. But if you want to move far in life, you move with a lot of people. And this is my everyday slogan. You move with people, not just with people that matters. And assertiveness and visibility is still talking about personal branding. Remember, personal branding is who they say you are when you are not in the room. Who do they say you are when you are not in the room? And drawing this to an end, I would like to say thank you for letting me share my opinion on this. Remember, the conversation continues, and it will always continue to get interesting as more and more women continue to lead this gender conversation, lead this inclusive conversation or diversity conversation. And Miriam said something that was spot on. We need women that are changed by their experiences, just like my own experience that I'm using to change the world. Yes. And I said, the question isn't who is going to let me. Nobody will let you. Nobody will let you. The question is, who is going to stop me? And that is the game. Not who is going to let you. Nobody will let you. Who is going to stop you? And now you are in the game. If you want to say who is going to stop, nobody will stop me with my value, with my contribution. Nobody. And Helen said, we are not objects. We are subjects. And women are not just the recipients, but actors. We are actors in all games. And do you know the beauty of things? When we focus, we win our game at all time. And the scripture also says, if you build a woman, you build an entire nation. Why not build many women? So that you build many natures and by extension, building the entire universe. We are not just fresh faces. I love this. We are not fresh faces, but we are fresh forces, building a balanced and inclusive and equitable atmosphere for everyone to thrive. And that is why we are here today. Thank you for having me. Picture Speaks. I work in an organization where for 35 years, there has never been an International Women's Day for once. I started this in 2022, and since then, it has become bigger, better, and impactful. And all the women, my MD said in one of his speeches, I said, wow, Counselor, you brought all my women out. This is the first time I'm seeing all my women. I said, you can imagine. So you have them, you don't know them, and you don't even feel them. This is my 2022, this was my 2023, and this is my 2024. Beautiful event. And recently, I have this project, Emotional Safety Initiative, where I give voice to the entire workforce. And by extension, I'm seeing a lot of women speak up. Everybody has a voice. Thank you so very much for having me. I really appreciate you. I appreciate the Power Women and everybody in this conversation. Thank you so very much.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. That was such an insightful session. I had my notes right here just jotting. And I also love the fact that the statement you made, which you also showed, you worked with facts and data, statistics. I love
Yeah.
that fact that you also brought that into your session. Thank you so much,
You're
Father
welcome.
Mankasa. That was an
You're welcome.
amazing session. That
Thank
was
you.
an amazing session. Yes, but my Kemi said she couldn't stop saying wow. Over here, I was just like, wow,
Thank you.
wow.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
Thank
so
you.
much for that session.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you.
without, yes, everyone has a voice. Yes, that everyone has a voice. We have to use it. Just like you said, one light bulb moment for me during your session was when you said, if we are not there to allocate. If you are not there to speak up, then who will be there to speak
Yeah.
up for us? So as women, we need to be strategic. We need to get into the boardrooms, shatter those ceilings, make those steps, use your voice so that we will be the one to pave the way for younger generation. Thank you so much for that. So without further ado, we'll be moving to the question and
Okay.
answer session. If you have questions, I'll be bringing up Dr. Dirisu to the stage. And if you have questions, you can do well to drop your questions in the chat. So I have a question before everyone starts dropping their question. I have a personal question that I would love. I love um the the statement both of you had referred to about you putting yourself out there. So my first question would be like, what advice would you give to women who aspire to make a global impact, who aspire to be involved in policy making, but are unsure of where to start? How do they leverage their experiences? How do they leverage situations around them? What advice would you give to young women who are looking to be in that decision making
Space.
position? Yes, that would be my first question.
Okay. Okay. Is that for me? Can I go ahead?
Yeah, for both
Eh,
of you. Yes, go ahead. Then we'd
Oh,
have
okay, okay,
Dr.
okay.
Sasri to
Oh,
come
okay,
up.
okay, okay. Thank you so very much. So for me, I would like to share it from the point where I started. For me, it is learning agility. If there is one thing that you need to have, is learning agility. Learning helps you to bring out the right foundation to where we are going to all this conversation. Without the right learning, without the right competency, without the right exposure, like Dr. Osashri has said, that exposure is something. And remember, we have three E's: the education, your environment, and your exposure. Those three things matters in this conversation. So rather than me saying your network matters, who you are and what you bring to the table. And again, Dr. Sashri said reciprocity, reciprocal. You have to ensure your relationship is reciprocal. It shouldn't be a parasitic relationship. It should be symbiotic. So what do you bring to the table? What do you want to bring? So when you don't have the learning agility, you won't have anything to bring to the table, because relationship is very, very costly to keep. I'm talking about valuable relationship, not just relationship. if I can relate to every slide she has mentioned here, because there are some relationship that you just need to dispel. There are some relationship you need to build, hold tight. But how do you hold them tight? As a result of your own value. So I would tell that young lady, learning agility, know yourself, personal branding. Let me stop there to allow Dr. also share a view on this. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. I think first of all, I just really want to thank you for such a powerful presentation, and great to see the impact you're making, doing big things in your corner, in your space, and elevating the voices of women. Really powerful. Thank you so much. And I think, maybe next Gender Summit, I think we should invite you to come and share some of these powerful thoughts. But just speaking to what you talked about, how do you, I think many times as women, we do not do enough to celebrate our journeys. So many times we think about the destination. How can I get to that big platform and do big things? But see what my sister is already doing. That is already powerful enough. That is already speaking for her. So many times we wait for that big break or big, but we forget that every single little transformational step, first of all, building a brand. What do I want to be known for in my little corner? And I'll just give maybe a little example, using my own experience. Every time that I found myself doing things that in quote people consider, oh, this is really big, it was just me thinking about how do I add value, how do I bring, like so many years ago, working in Lagos and supporting, my aim was just, oh, drug users, female sex workers are so marginalized. How can I contribute to the conversation, elevating, amplifying their voices? So that was what I went in to do. And I started doing it, in a volunteering role. But in doing that, suddenly people were now looking for people who were working with female drug users. And so it was people looking for me, not me going to look for the spaces. So a lot of the invitations I got at that time to come and speak about, the context of, substance misuse, as far back as 2010, was people like reaching out to me. The first funding we got was, who is working on the streets of Lagos, who is working with street, area boys, or who is working with them, and then of course they find you. So it goes two ways, but it never starts out by looking for the platform or what you want to leverage. It starts by thinking about what value proposition I want to have as a person, and in building that value, then you begin to look for the opportunities to amplify what you're doing, but not the other way around. Eventually, you would have those opportunities to, but if you don't start by looking internally first, building the brand, building the value proposition, and even when people now give you the platform, they'll come back and say, we gave her an opportunity to speak, and she didn't say anything. So it's building that personal brand and then creating avenues for that to show.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you so much for that answer. While we wait on people to, I think I have another question, which is few days ago there's a conversation, I think on Twitter, around strategic networking. What's the difference between networking and strategic networking? So some persons are of the opinion that strategic networking is you hunting someone for selfish reason in quotes, and for someone who is an introvert, I think Dr. Osasi, you'll be able to relate with this. How do you leverage your network without necessarily looking desperate or being strategic in quotes, as people place it? So I think there's a need to strike a balance, especially for someone who, I remember she mentioned where she did a test and you realized that 80% of people in your circles were academic. So how did you break out of that box without necessarily head hunting? Now, I'm not saying head hunting it's not good. Like just as you said, you reached out to your mentor, but how do you balance that without sounding or looking desperate or being tagged a user?
So one thing I'll give you a quick example. 2 years ago, I was in a very high level meeting, speaking to someone, and then there was a young guy in the room who had been trying to meet this guy, and so he took advantage of greeting me, and they greeted me, and I went straight to the guy, to the person I was speaking to, and the person I was speaking to said, "No, no, 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 don't start all this your parasitic whatever. Is Dr. Dirisu, speak to her and leave me out of this, you know." So people are also, because excuse me, sir, please, can I have your card? Can I have your this? I am thinking of this. I'm looking for this. So there's a way you position yourself, and then you do not create the sort of value that makes me, the person you're trying to strategically network, attracted to you or attracted to what you would say. And there are many ways of going about this. There's a young person currently working with us. He In 2021, NESG put out an advert for a national essay, and he applied. He was in 400 level at that time, and he wrote the essay, and he was second best overall nationally. So we invited him to come and do a 6 month internship as his reward for qualifying, being the second place. And when he came in, this was 400 level students. He was writing, he applied himself so much. He was writing, competing in terms of the level of writing and productivity of graduates in the organization. And so naturally, when it was now time, I mean, immediately he finished school, he hasn't even gone to serve yet. I was like, you know what? He was like, oh, he would like an opportunity to come back. And then my people said, oh, you have to write a test. And he wrote the test. This was a test that, we advertised, and he came first, even, above graduates and all that. And I've he's had an opportunity to work with me in the last few years, and I'm proud to introduce him to people because of the value that he brings. So one is, the best way to strategically network goes back to what I said first: build a value proposition around yourself that first makes you relevant. But then in expanding your network, like initially, my network was, just academics. How did I go about expanding my network? So first of all, I went and read, I went to Federal Government Girls College, Benin City. I had never attended any meeting until a couple of years ago, some years ago. I said, okay, they had been disturbing me. I said, yeah, add me to the group. I'm ready. So I joined that. All Saints Primary School. I joined my primary school group. I went to two secondary schools. I joined. So just joining all my alumni groups in the last 5 years has been mind blowing. I've reconnected with many people who have connected with other people, and we've done some things together. So that's on one level. Then on another level, professional associations, attending meetings, making it a goal that for every meeting you attend, one new network. And there are many ways to do that. I always tell people, if you're going for a conference, don't just go for a conference with business card. Write an abstract, present something at the conference, even if it's a poster. Present something at the conference. It will be a conversation starter. If they're doing a competition for something, apply. So show up at this opportunity to network with something, some value that you bring. It may not always be possible to present or do anything. Within the conference, join a group discussion, contribute, put up your hand, raise your hand. But you cannot successfully create or expand your networks without bringing value to the table. Because in that case, people will now see you as a parasite.
Thank you so much, Dr. Paul Makasara, do you have something to add to that? You're muted.
I think she has covered it all. Who you are is what you bring to the table. There's nothing you can't say to that. It is who you are that you are, and it is who you are that you are expressing. If you think people see and people know, and people will tell you what your personal brand is. Sometimes you think you are defining a personal brand, so another person is defining it for you, expressing who you actually are. So we have a lot of blind spots. What we do is to look continuously for self-awareness, so that you can know yourself better, so that you can improve yourself better. So that's the only addition for me. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, I think we don't have any more questions. For me, my takeaway here, like the overall, there are so many takeaways, would be value, value. You can't give what you don't have. You have to first bring value to the table. The values are what it's like the stepping stone that gets you into rooms. Build yourself. So not just try to move from the top down, also build yourself to a stage where you have opportunities look for you, not you running after opportunity. There's also the place of service, as mentioned. There's a place of skill, like you mentioned. So thank you so much, Power Women. It was really an amazing time with you today at the Power Woman conference. Thank you to everyone who joined in. Looking at the comments here, I'm just wow, that how much value this is and so much takeaway that people are living here with. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. We look forward. Oh, we have a question. Okay, let me ask that. So the question is, what are the investments you made in yourself to identify and build your unique value proposition? Okay. I think we're going to start with Paul Makasara, then we end with Dr. Derisa.
Wow, I hope we are going to live here today. Because this question, you have just clicked one button, one big button in my body. Because this question, oh my goodness. Yes. So let me start from where he started from. I will try and bring out everything together. Yes, I happen to be a very, very shy person, and I'm still shy. I'm still very, very shy. And I
Wow.
carried the personality of an introvert for over 30 years of my life. And I'm not an introvert, but I carried that personality for 30 years of my life. No meaning I did not discover myself for over 30 years of a whole of somebody's life. And that's why they used to say the richest place in the whole world is the cemetery. Because a lot of opportunities, a lot of potentials, a lot of brilliance and knowledge is in that place. Either tapped or untapped, either discovered or undiscovered. Yes. So I knew that okay, I'm intelligent, and that used to be in my head. Oh, Kausara, you are intelligent. Kausara, you are beautiful. And you know when your daddy is saying, my beautiful daughter, my beautiful, so that beauty is in my head every time that I'm beautiful, and then I'm intelligent, beauty and brain. Then I don't have an issue, and I finished in the school with a distinction. Not just distinction, I finished being the best female graduating student in my school, finding my name in the Hall of Fame and the rest. So you can imagine all those things. Thinking that, oh, I think I'm okay, I think I'm good. I find myself in the world of work and everything changed. And everything changed in terms of I started having fears. I started having anxiety. I said, okay, what's the problem? Where is that intelligence? Where is the beauty? What is happening to me? And I noticed that the skills and competencies you will need in the work in the four walls of school is different from what you will need in the world of work. They are two different things. But the basic is the knowledge. The knowledge is there. And you find out that okay, when you come to the world of work, you need soft skills. But most of the time we are not being taught about soft skills. How do you deal with failure? How do you deal with anxiety? How do you deal with confidence? We are not taught. We are not even taught how do you deal identify your emotions. We don't have all that. And they will call me for a debriefing and said, Kausara, can you debrief for us? And I will be panting. I said, Kausara, you are intelligent. Why are you panting? Kausara, can you be the moderator of this? I said, moderator, because I'm always, just like Dr. Sasri said, I'm always on the desk. Do your work, read and pass and go. I never believed that there are some things I will need again. I thought, hey, give me work, let me do it. And I'm so good when it comes to that back end work, administrative work. But when you know where you are going, when you know where you want to be, you will notice that your current skill will never take you there. Yes. So how my unique value proposition, how do I identify and build it? I already know the issue that I have, and I know where I was going. And how do I get there? Everything that will make me get there, we have already discussed today. I need to learn more, not just academics. I need to learn more personal development. I need to meet with people. I need to meet with people, not just people. I need to meet with people that matters. Yes. And I need to know the help that I need, I require. That help that I require is what I want to use to build my proposition. What did I want to gain? What did I want to be? What did I want to represent? Who do I want to be when they call my name? Where am I going to? And what are those investments? The investment, first investment for me is just to seeking knowledge. After that is going into coaching school. Those are big investments for me. I went into coaching because I thought this is part of the tool that I need to help people. I never knew I went into coaching to help myself. It never occurred to me that I went to coaching school for 6 months to actually heal completely from my past, to actually heal from my fears, to actually heal from all the anxiety that I had. So I was thinking, okay, how can I use the tool of coaching to help people? Now, while I'm coaching, I'm self-coaching myself. While I'm coaching, I'm also mentoring myself, I'm coaching myself, I'm emancipating myself, I'm freeing myself from a lot of fears. And this is continuous. And I used to tell my mentees, I said, the butterfly will never go away. It will never. It will always be there. But how are we converting the butterfly? It is my investment in personal development that helped me discover that the butterfly will never go away. I want to join this call. This is a virtual call. It shouldn't take me anything. I have my materials. I've done my research. I've done my beautiful slide. I should come in here. Then I will say what. But I've gone to the restroom twice. But in coaching school, we tell you the butterfly will always be there. But what do you use the butterfly to do? It is that's the differentiator. So my investment in myself is knowing myself, continuously knowing myself, because it doesn't stop here. We have blind spots. And up till now, I'm still discovering myself. When COVID came, I never knew that some things I would be able to do, not until COVID came. That, oh, wow. So I have this versatile knowledge. I didn't even know that I can do this and this and this. I have just one stream of income before COVID. I'm that desk person. I just want to be at the desk and do my work and present my work and I go. I don't bring me to limelight. Even up to now, I don't like limelight. I just want to be there. People will say, but you are not known. I said, just let me be making that impact in my cubicle, in my circle. I just want it. I don't want to be out there. I don't want to see the best. I can't cope. Even up to now. But even with that, am I adding value? Yes. Am I working on my fears? Yes. Am I leveraging on my fears to work on my anxiety and become a better person? Yes. Is personal development is a continuous, is a life investment for me? Yes. Am I stopping? No, I'm not stopping. So those are the real investments. And people, your network will help you get to where you want to get to faster and further. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, ma'am. That was the dose that we need to go and chew and chew and chew on. Just as you said, for me, I think one thing you said is in your bid to go to coaching school, you didn't know you were actually helping yourself. So I think that's one thing that struck a chord for me is in your bid to help others, you're actually helping yourself while you're coaching others, you're coaching yourself. Over to you, Dr. Sasi.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think we've touched on a lot of these things, here and there, but just to like bring it together. So, in terms of investing in yourself, in order to ensure that you can get, to where you want to be, I think first of all is to. I love the fact that there's that acknowledgement that personal investment is needed. So, personal investment is needed and is in different ways. So one is we leave university coming out with a degree or we have um, a qualification, and then you now ask yourself, what sort of skills do I need? I talked about a few things when I started speaking. So one is integrity, accountability. So these are things, these are like building blocks. So you begin to think about how do I invest, what investments did you make in yourself to build your unique value proposition? So what do I want to be known for? So first of all, um, what is my biggest value? Like when people see me, when people think about me, what is the biggest thing that they want to go home with in terms of my value proposition? So for me as a person, it's gender and inclusion. Even when I studied medicine, when with everything I've done in my life, social inclusion has always been my biggest thing. So even when I got an admission to do a PhD in public health, I ended up changing it to social epidemiology. Yes, I did, because that's what I really wanted. But how do I start from 20 something years ago as a medical doctor? How do I end up as someone who is seen as a social scientist or a social inclusion specialist? So over the past 2 decades, and it's interesting. I know we won't have time again. The question came at the end, like, but just in 2 minutes. So I identified from medical school that, look, this is not the value proposition. I don't want to be known as the best pediatrician or the best surgeon or something. I want to be known as someone who stands for social inclusion and gender equity. So right from when I was doing my youth service, coming out, the choices I have made in the last 20 something years have been focused on building the skills, the sort of persona. So what sort of persona is needed for this sort of desire I want? So even when I was in management and all that, I kept my eyes on the goal. And even though, because you have to survive, or, sometimes when they say make investments, sometimes people think that, oh, resign your job and go and do the one that go and follow that passion. Passion does not pay bills all the time. So you may need to start by, so I started from something very different from what I wanted, but I kept that vision alive. So in 2008, for example, I was, even though I was in healthcare management, I was volunteering, for example, in my church, because I was blessed to be in a church at that time that was doing a lot of work for street boys and female sex workers. And I was like, oh my God. So first of all, I had that opportunity during my youth service, serving in a very rural hospital in Ebonyi State. And I did a lot of things, practicing where I wanted to eventually be. And then coming to 2008, I just decided to volunteer in my church. And the work as a volunteer, leading medical missions, supporting female sex workers and drug users became so much that my pastor said, you know what, just come in and do this full time. And that was how I came in full time to manage a drug rehab center, manage a drug program for girls who are on drugs, and female sex workers and all that. But you see, even though I was doing that in a role that didn't necessarily give me all the, I was able to now learn. As I learned, identify the gaps. So first of all, I came in a very compassionate person, because you need a lot of compassion to work with them. And they showed me shege, because my people on the streets were smarter than me. They were street smart. So many times, they will come and tell me that, oh, I'm now clean. I just need 5,000 to sort of, and then I give them, and then they go off. They never come back. I've had people deceive me and jump out of rehab. So I now needed to learn how to be empathetic, but assertive at the same time. So I use that as an example to say, as you are building your value proposition, you are learning your gap. So, oh, I need to know how to be. And when I started to balance that, people said I was wicked. But to get a girl out of drugs or off the streets, you have to appear wicked in that sense, in terms of men. So you begin to look at all the sort of skills you need. You're building them, taking an online course and all that. So building all that value proposition, at some point I knew that, oh, I needed research skills, because you have to do research to understand this thing better and program for them better. I went back to school. Oh, you need leadership skills. You go and take leadership courses. Oh, you would need to also be able to stand at the intersection of intervention and policy. I go back and take courses in public policy. So it is not something that, but don't forget that between 2000 and 2008, there was nothing in my life to reflect the sort of value proposition I wanted to stand for. Also, to warn you that as you're building this identity, this value proposition, you may not really get the sort of support that you need. So don't be looking for all those green flags that come from people hailing you and saying, "Oh, we love you, you are doing well." I mean, many times I was criticized, right? Or people told me, nobody will be interested in this. I remember in 2022, I'll just end quickly, when I felt ready in terms of building my value proposition, capabilities. I was ready, and I knew that that was the time to create a platform for us to have conversations about gender and inclusion in Nigeria. I wrote a concept, I sold it to my colleagues, and they told me it was not possible. Why would anybody be interested in attending a gender and inclusion conference? My own colleagues, I love them dearly, but they said it's not feasible. I went back home and I thought about it. I said, I knew in my heart that it was something that had to be done. So I came back and I went to meet my bosses and I said, you know what? If I just have your support, no problem. And I said, okay, if you can find the money, go and do it. So I'm only saying this to say that even in building this, so now I have to build resilience, because what that means is that how am I going to follow through if I don't believe in myself? So self-concept, self-esteem, sometimes even even in getting to this point, don't forget that I was someone who just wanted to be behind my desk. I need to raise money for what I'm doing. So I have to talk to people. I have to say, can you give us money? So
Yeah.
I had to get a mentor to now learn properly. I didn't go to coaching school. I'll come back and learn from you, my sister. But I had to now yes, I had to get a business development person who now mentored me on how to pick, raise funds, and bring all that together. So it's a journey. It's a journey that only you will celebrate milestones. So in your house, you will lock the door, you put a cake on the table, you put a glass of wine, you celebrate how far you have gone. Then the next day, you go out again, you receive the bashing, you come back again and encourage yourself that where you are going, you can get there. And on that basis, you come back to the drawing board again. Sometimes you have to borrow money. I remember in 2010, the first time I went for a policy conversation around female drug users in Nigeria. My boss called me and was like, "Where are you?" No, 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 no. Those things. So there are many times when it's a lonely road, but you keep understanding what you need to do, identifying the skill gap, not so that you can beat yourself, so that you can increase your capacity and get ready for that critical moment when the world now says, you know what, we are ready for you. Come and stand and do what you have to do. When people see you on the stage on that day, they don't know that you have plenty beautiful scars that you are wearing from all the rejections that you have gotten in your life. I am one person, the last words from me is, I'm one person that anytime I face a rejection, I call a party and I celebrate the fact that this is one opportunity to ensure that I do not make a mistake of settling for my second best. So the rejection in itself is an opportunity that is propelling me to where I want to go. But it's really important on your journey to continuously identify what capacity gaps that you have as you're building yourself towards that place for self-discovery. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Wow. 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 Yes. I got a new one. You celebrate even your rejections. Yes. That's looking at the cup in a different way. You're not looking at it, but at your cup half full or half empty. You're actually trying to look at it half full. Just like Wimsola Arua Yobe said, so rejection is redirection. Yes, it helps you go back to your table to re-strategize. Like I always say, continuous rejection is just, it helps you in making authentic blueprints, different ways not to go about that situation again. So if you get like 10 rejections, those are 10 ways not to go about that your goal. Yes. So thank you so much for that insightful session. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so with that, we've come to the end of the Power Woman Conference 2024. As I mentioned earlier, the Power Woman is a community of women, yes, where we come together to collaborate. We collaborate and we thrive together. So to know more about the Power Woman Network, you can check our website and also follow us on social media platforms. Thank you so much, Dr. Sasui. Thank you so much, Coach Kar. Sorry, I had an amazing time with you guys. I'm definitely going to go back to watch this video on YouTube. My notes are here and definitely move. So beyond what has been said, beyond what we've written, is also the place of taking action, taking action to that which we've ate today. So thank you so much. I would have said last words. Okay, I think I can say last words from each and everyone. It seems that I'm definitely enjoying this conversation. I don't know about everyone else, but I would say last words from one for each
Okay.
of you. Then with
Okay.
that, we
Okay.
come to an end today.
Yeah. Thank you, Okoyemi. A lot have been said today, and I'm so happy that I accepted this invitation to add to my network, and by extension, add into my net worth. Now I have Dr. Sasui adding to my network too, and then I have you and my powerful Kemi Ogunkoya. She's always been there. I love her so much. Thank you for beating this. So, the final comment from me is we need to accept that women participation or involvement in policy making is not just about a gender parity discussion. It's just about how do women bring insightful contribution and empathy into the world so that the world can be more successful. And that is why we are here, because we need to be socially responsible. We need to balance all this conversation and also be a balanced person. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for listening to me. I feel so honored and I feel so blessed to have everyone here. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Sasui.
Thank you so much for inviting me. And thank you. I have a new sister. I'm going to be reaching out to you. Um, but I think last words from me would be your aspirations are possibilities, but you can't go on that journey alone. So reflect deeply on those who would help to facilitate your journey to where you want to be. But it's possible, and go do it.
Yes, go do it. It's possible. Your dreams are valid. Thank you so much. And with that, we draw the curtains to the Power Woman Conference 2024. Hope to see you next year for the Power Woman Conference and also in subsequent
Thank you.
programs in which we
Thank you,
do at
everyone.
the Power Woman Network. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your
Thank
day.
you. Thank you, Bicola
Bye.
Ribi. I can see your comments. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.